Well, hello and welcome everybody to this 498 section of Fall 2022. I'm really excited to be here. My name is Dr. Jared Champion. I'm an assistant professor of writing and interdisciplinary studies and one of the instructors of this capstone 498 section, along with my fearless co-leader. This is Dr. Wesley Barker. Dr. Barker, care to introduce yourself?
Hi, everybody. As Dr. Champion said, I'm Dr. Wesley Barker. I'm Associate Professor of Religious Studies here at Mercer, and I also help coordinate the Women and Gender Studies minor. If folks happen to be interested in asking me questions about that, I love to talk about it. So without further ado, Dr. Champion.
Well, great. And we are really excited to be here. This 498 is a really unique class. It's a great opportunity as our capstone to start thinking about the skills that we've picked up over our time here at Mercer. For some of you, it might be a short amount of time. Others may have been here a long, long time. But what we're going to do is we're going to start drawing together our experiences and reflecting on them to consider the skills that we've picked up in our time here at Mercer University. And then we're going to start working on a couple of different projects. So there are two main projects. There are a handful of other assignments, but the two main assignments are a major paper and an e-portfolio. So let's start talking first about the major paper, and then we're going to dig in a little bit to the e-portfolio and describe a little bit of what that is so you can have a sense moving into the semester as to what to expect by way of work and the types of projects that we're taking on over the course of the next 4 months. The major paper is an opportunity for you to start building on those two concentrations or one big concentration that you put together as an LBST major. So as a liberal studies major, you might have a couple of different concentrations, and what you're going to do is draw on those concentrations to start asking a question that someone with those two specific disciplines could answer more effectively based on your disciplinary perspective that you've created in your time here at Mercer. This will lead to a larger project that will allow you to demonstrate that you know how to think like a person with these two concentrations. So for example, if you have a concentration in history and women and gender studies, you might ask a question about the role of women during the Civil War and do a project that shakes out like that. If you're like me with an interest in sociology and literature, you might start looking into, say, why a book was so provocative during that historical moment. So what did that book say in that moment that riled people up? So you're going to ask a question and trot out the answer. And we're going to be here walking you through this process. So through the part of the process of making this major paper, you will have a number of smaller paper progress assignments that you will do throughout the course of every other week. And with that, you will be building slowly. So don't worry, there's not going to be a big last minute sort of all-nighter that you have to worry about. We'll be building slower through smaller steps and working with you on this paper as you go through it. And we'll be really kind of figuring out those places where you might run into problems or might have questions, and we're going to be here to help you along the way with that. And so that will give you an opportunity to show that you know how to think like a person with your specific disciplinary composition, right? And that will also help us with this second part of the course, which is the e-portfolio. And the e-portfolio is a really interesting part of the process. It's a high impact practice, which means it's something that most students who do it find this to be one of the most important moments of their college career. And Dr. Barker is going to talk a little bit about what to expect from the e-portfolio, and then we're going to talk a little bit about the supports that are available to you as you get moving down the road on this project.
Thanks, Dr. Champion. Yes, so the e-portfolio, it sounds daunting in a lot of ways because there's a lot of, there's a learning curve for this, but many of you should already have a portfolio started perhaps from your LBST 210 or 310 courses or your 360. But the e-portfolio is essentially, it becomes almost like a personal website where you document your educational journey. And by documenting, and part of this documentation is collection, but also reflection. As Dr. Champion suggested, you know, a huge part of this class is about reflecting on the different disciplinary perspectives that you bring together that are you and what that make you unique as a thinker and allow you to contribute to different problems or issues in a very specific way. So the e-portfolio then essentially becomes this repository of your work, but also a place that you can then reflect on your growth across time. And that's a really essential piece of this. It becomes almost like the digital outward facing form of your final paper, although you'll also put your final paper on the ePortfolio. And then you can share this ePortfolio with employers, whether existing or potential, and it becomes a real showcase of the work that you've done here at your during your time at Mercer and as a liberal studies major.
That's right. And this ePortfolio is really useful when you think about it practically about what you can use it for in the future. So it's a great opportunity, as Dr. Barker explained, to share with future employers. So when they ask things like, tell me about a time that you faced a challenge and how did you overcome it, you can point specifically to an ePortfolio and say, I was in LBST498 and I had this question, this problem I was running into, and here's how I pursued the resolution of that problem. And so you have this concrete sort of digital outward facing repository of all your work where you can also say, I know what I learned here, and then I can bring those skills to bear on your problems in your company. So you can basically demonstrate that you are a unique problem solver, especially if you do a great job on the ePortfolio. Now, the ePortfolio is digital and it is difficult, especially at first, but it's something you can all do and we have supports necessary for you. But it's important here to highlight that you will need computer access, meaning a computer. So this course cannot be completed using a cell phone or using a tablet. Those are not sufficient for doing the types of work that we are asking of you here. So you will need a computer. The good news is the course can be done using a Chromebook, which are far less expensive than a traditional laptop. So you can do that, but you absolutely need a computer, an actual word processing machine, and that will help set you up for success. If you don't have a computer, don't worry. There are a couple of different ways that you can mitigate this. One is you can check out a computer from the university libraries. That includes the Henry and Douglas Center. You can check out a laptop for 3 days. And so anytime you have that opening or availability, you can stop by the different campuses, check out a laptop, or if you live too far away from campus to be able to do that, you can go to your public library. They also have laptops available. So make sure that you have that computer access dialed in, not only for doing the assignments, but it also really helps whenever we meet in class meetings, because the class meetings are a great opportunity here for us to start sharing that work. And you're going to need the ability to share your work and screen on Zoom, which is not something that's possible if you're using an iPad or a cell phone. You need to be able to pull up your work, be it your ePortfolio or your paper progress assignments, to share with your peers. And so the class meetings are a really great time for us to do this. Let's talk for a minute about those class meetings, though, because these are really, really important. The class meetings are going to be the first Friday of every month. The dates are all listed on the calendar. So if you're watching this now, we will be meeting next Friday, September 2nd. So we will all gather together on Zoom, 6 o'clock on Zoom, and we will be meeting to talk about the course itself and what to expect. We'll be starting to look at some of the earlier assignments that we've done. The class meetings are a great time for us to start meeting together and sharing our work. So in terms of that, what you want to do is make sure that you have dedicated and make sure that you are protecting that time as really, really critical. Not only is it important by way of your grades, because so much of your grade is tied to full attendance, meaning you show up, you turn on your camera, and that you are ready to engage. But it's also really important because it is dialogic, meaning that this is a time when you share the things you're learning with your peers, and you're watching your peers to see what they've learned and what kinds of problems have they faced and how they overcome them. So this is a time when we meet together and gather to really share those and to figure out what makes a sociology concentration different than a history concentration, than a concentration in women and gender studies, than these others. So we can start to really see not only what our peers bring to the table, but that will put into stark relief what we bring to the table by way of skills. So those class meetings are really, really important for a myriad of different reasons. There are only 4 throughout the course of the semester, so make sure you go ahead and mark those down in your calendar, and make sure that whatever day that is, that you are accounting for things like Atlanta traffic, so that you can make sure that you are at your computer on time, sitting down in a quiet place without distractions, ready to go for those class meetings. They are invaluable to your success, and they're really important for us building community, especially in a smaller group like we have this semester, that every voice is going to be amplified as a result. So make sure that you're really prioritizing and protecting that. It's my personal favorite time of this class every month is those class meetings. So I'm really excited about it, and I'm excited to get to work with you during that time. Dr. Barker, anything you'd like to add about the class meetings?
Well, I just want to reiterate that I mean, this is a learning community, and one of the most important ways that we learn together is through, or that you will learn, is not simply through your interaction with us, but your interaction with your peers. That peer-to-peer learning is really an important component of this. And I know, Dr. Champion, we wanted to talk about class participation as part of this. So showing up is part of it. Yes, attendance, being there and ready, having your screen on, that's really important. But you need to come prepared so that you can be engaged with your fellow classmates. And we really want everyone to be constructive so that you're sharing ideas with one another and really enhancing the learning, that you become essential to enhancing the learning environment, that you become the classroom community. And we act as facilitators, and we're there to help with your success, certainly. But a lot of the success depends on you and your working together.
That's right.
Did I? Is that about everything there,
I think
Dr.
so.
Chen?
I think so. I think one of the ways I like to think about this, and we haven't talked about this yet, Dr. Barker, so correct me if
Surprise.
you disagree, but I
Cool.
like to think about class participation a lot in the same terms that I would talk about going to the gym. That it's not enough just to go to the gym and sit there, right? We're not going to go sit in the corner of the gym and see any progress, right? And we're not going to help anybody in the gym that way. So class participation is more than just going physically to the gym or showing up to the classroom. It's also making sure that you show up with the necessary gym shoes and equipment, right? It's making sure that you are in a space where you're ready to engage and that you're actively working on something, whatever that is. So class participation is very much this idea that you can measure it in the same terms that you would likely measure your success in the gym. So if we say, did you participate? That's more than just showing up and walking through the door. That's actually contributing and making comments that are meaningful and helpful to your peers. And let me tell you, there is nothing better than when you have a classroom where everybody is engaged and everybody is adding and contributing. So I challenge you all to really move forward throughout this semester and think about the ways you can be the best community member possible. So set your baseline as being great in the classroom and watch how much more fun and engaging it is for everybody and how much faster that time clicks away. And that's really, really important. It's also helpful to know that we will be in the classroom, we'll be working on sort of the we problems, right? These are the issues that collectively people are experiencing. And so we'll be building on those more common themes and working through those. But we will also be meeting 2 weeks after every class meeting, we will have individual conferences. So what this will look like is very simply on a Thursday night, most likely, we'll coordinate this our first day of class, but we'll be meeting for a half hour with you individually. There'll be a time set aside for you, and we'll say, hi, Sarah, what are you working on? And you'll be able to say, this is what I'm working on, and here's how I'm putting it together. Here's some of the struggles I'm facing. And those monthly conferences are a really terrific time. They're basically kind of like class on steroids because we're able to figure out specifically where you need the most support and offer that to you. So those monthly conferences, same rule applies as the in-class work, right? We want you to really make sure that those are times you set aside as being very valuable time and so that you are showing up on time. So if you show up to a half-hour conference 10 minutes late, you've already missed 33% of that. So that's already a challenge for you by way of the grading because you're missing 33% of your grade, which is not ideal. But the better situation is that you show up on time, you know exactly where you are in the process, and you're able to ask clear and concrete questions. This again is kind of like, to borrow that gym analogy, is imagine if you've been working on a goal. Say you decided you wanted to run a 10K. And so you're working and you notice that you're having certain struggles. Then when you go to the gym and meet with your trainer, you can ask specific questions that I've noticed that about 4 miles in, I start running out of energy. What would you do? Or my knee is sore about 6 miles in. Because you've been doing that work, you're able to ask good questions when you get into this. So if you've been working on a paper, you can say, or a certain part of your paper progress assignment, you can say, Dr. Champion, I'm doing really well here, but I keep running into this wall here. What do we do? So the more work you've done before the conference, the more useful the conference will be for you because you'll know the problems you're running into. That doesn't mean it's the only time to meet with us or me or Dr. Barker. It just means this is a time that is prioritized for you to make sure that we're having that routine contact and making sure that if you're running into a wall, you're not running into the wall for a month before you see us between classes.
Absolutely. I mean, I think to Dr. Champion's point that this is designed to support you in your progress throughout the course. And so while we all get together and have these wonderful wonderful conversations during our regular class meetings, this gives you, I mean, this is like a personalized session with your professors. It's 2 for 1 for that matter. And the key here, Dr. Champion, should I go ahead and perhaps mention some of the keys to success here in terms of earning credit?
That sounds great.
Yeah. The key in these monthly conferences, as in all of the assignments, is to stay on track in terms of your schedule. Turn your assignments in on time, and follow the directions for assignments. Though I know that sounds really basic, but like following directions and turning things in on time will ensure that you are setting yourself up for success in the class. There are, it can seem like a lot when you have, every week you have something to do, but let me tell you, if you do these things, and some of them are rather low stakes, it will ensure that you have the consistency throughout the semester that you need to remain kind of actively thinking about your educational journey and how you can contribute uniquely to the world around you and to specific problems that interest you as well. And so that's my 2 main points, that if you want to earn full credit on things, follow directions and submit all of your assignments on time. Now, having said that about submitting on time, we will accept late work, but it will be penalized, and the syllabus will outline precisely the penalties for submitting late work. But a quick note, we will not accept the final paper or the final ePortfolio late. There is a hard and fast deadline for those assignments that you have to meet.
That's right. And that late work policy is one I would encourage everybody to check out in the syllabus for a couple of different reasons that Dr. Barker outlined, but I want to really emphasize. One is the late work policy is a tool for you. So we know life is going to happen. It's a 4-month-long semester. So there is a policy in place where you can turn in some work up to a week late. After a week, the work doesn't get any credit. But I want you to think of this as a tool for you for those rare moments when life happens, meaning something happens where you're not able to get work done in time. Maybe you've got a big test, or heaven forbid, or maybe in a celebratory way, you've got a wedding coming up you have to leave town for, and you need to turn work in a day late to make sure that you're able to take care of all the travel safely, that kind of thing. But use that very sparingly. What I can tell you is that the more work you turn in on time, the higher your chances of being highly successful are. So use that late work policy as a tool in the rare chances you need it, but make sure you pick up all those easy points, right? So turning in work on time will protect those points. And the big thing here is the work is not easy. We're in a class with a 400 level prefix, right? It's your capstone. It is the biggest, toughest class you're going to take here. So the easier credit you can earn is turning in work on time and not losing those points for something you could do, which is turn that work on time. If you're going to turn it in anyway, turn it in on time. That's a really helpful thing. And then also, in keeping with this, the other way you can ensure that success, and that's really what we're talking about here, is making sure that you're successful, is really guard your attendance. And attendance is to show up to class and make sure that you're in those class meetings on time. Show up to the conferences and make sure you sign in on time, or early even, right? Make sure that you're making good use of that. We're only meeting in class 4 times and in conferences 4 times. So over the course of the next 4 months, you have 8 different times to make sure that you were in one place. Make sure that you really privilege and prioritize those. It's going to be very important. But also, in terms of earning attendance, make sure you're in a place where you can turn on your camera. To earn attendance for the class, you need to be able to participate in that class. So again, if you just have Zoom on, that doesn't count. But again, let's think about this less in terms of what not to do. Let's talk more about the positive picture. To earn credit for that attendance, what you want to do is be there participating and offering meaningful feedback to your peers, having your camera on so they can see your face and reactions to the things that they have shared with you, and that you can help problem solve with them. If you're doing these things, you're going to be in great shape, not just for earning credit for attendance, but also the class itself will have the benefit of your unique problem solving skills. So everyone in this group has a set of problem solving skills that is unique to them. So in some ways, we're kind of like Ocean's 11, right? That you are a person with unique skills that you're going to help us figure out this bigger problem together, and your job is to show up for that, and show up not meaning more than just signing on, but showing up like you show up for something, right? And that's a really important thing. Speaking of showing up for things and being present, let's talk for a minute about office hours, Dr. Barker. So tell me a little bit about office hours and how people in this room should view office hours. Many of us, I mean, we're in the last stages, right? So chances are good people know about office hours, but maybe we want to think specifically about how they view it, or when they can get in touch with us, that kind of thing.
Well, a couple of things, Dr. Champion. Well, first, actually, I would like to back up a second and talk about the attendance again, because I just want to say from experience that the best classes I've ever had, the best classes I've ever taught, had very little to do with me. They had to do with how great the students were. Because I teach the same thing over and over again. But what the real determining factor is student engagement. Um, and so, in many ways, you all will make this course successful. So, having said that, going back to office hours, let's talk about your success. Dr. Champion and I are here for you. We became professors because we loved teaching. We loved being able to work with students. We loved seeing light bulbs, go off in your head, or the little thought bubble, whatever, anything like that. So we are here for your success. And part of being here means being here virtually for you through Zoom, but also we have physical office hours on two different campuses. Both Dr. Champion and I have office hours in Atlanta in the ACC building on Tuesdays. My office hours are going to be from 12 to 7 p.m. in room 475, but all of this information of our office hours will be listed on the syllabus. Dr. Champion will also be on the Atlanta campus on Tuesdays, if I believe that's right, Dr. Champion. And then on Wednesdays, Dr. Champion will be available at the Henry Regional Academic Center. I will also be in Atlanta on Wednesdays and Tuesdays. Sorry. I will be in Atlanta on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. Dr. Champion will be in Atlanta Tuesdays and Henry on Wednesdays. And all of this will be listed in your syllabus. But we would love for you to come see us. Trust me, that's why we are there. So if you feel like, in addition to the conferences and in addition to the classroom, we are available by email, we are available physically, we are available in Zoom. If you do want to set up a Zoom appointment with us, please make sure you email or call and set that up, confirm it with us, and so that we can make sure we're all there at the same time.
That's right. And also, in terms of these office hours, thinking practically about this in the bigger picture, we're going to be your last point of contact here at Mercer. So the more face-to-face time we have with you, the more specific we can be when we're speaking with potential employers. If you need to list us as references, or if you decide to go on to graduate school, this is an opportunity for us to get to know you better, so that we know the things you care about, we know the things you bring to the table, the research interest you have. And that way, when we're writing those letters of recommendation, we can be very clear that we know you bring to the table X, Y, and Z, and that you have this experience in A, B, and C. The more time and more we know you, the more time you spend with us and more we know you, the better we will be in terms of offering very specific, clear, concrete guidance and feedback to you, and also being clear in letters of recommendation and references, which is only going to benefit you in the future. Office hours are a great opportunity to know us. And also, I would recommend even just setting up a time to say, this is who I am and here's what I'm studying. You don't have to have a problem to come to office hours. You can talk about the things that you are interested in or the paths you want to take. Those are really fruitful conversations for us. And don't feel limited by the office hours. If those times don't work for you, it might not. If you have a 9 to 5 job, that's okay. Set up a time for us to meet and we can do that. The office hours, the difference is office hours are a time when you are a number one priority. So we are going to make sure that we are available for you during that time. They're my favorite. My favorite is when office hours are full. And so you're not imposing. You don't have to apologize for needing office hour times. This is a time that are really they're really great times for faculty members to know you better. Now, moving forward, let's talk a little bit about what next. And so we're here at the end of our welcome. It's been a short 25 minutes and delightful, no doubt, for everybody here. Let's talk a little bit about what I would recommend for you all doing in the next couple of weeks. So we won't see you again until Friday the 2nd, but you have work due in the meantime. So my first recommendation is go to the Canvas page where you already are if you're watching this video, and make sure you have browsed Canvas, read the syllabus, and that you are familiar with what work is due when, and start working on those assignments. Be looking out for feedback. If we've talked a little bit about attendance and showing up, one of the biggest and best things you can do to make sure that you were successful in this class is sign on to Canvas every single day, even if something's not due, because the Canvas page will let you know what's coming up so you can start planning appropriately. And again, making sure that you're protecting that time. So go through the Canvas page and make sure you have a really solid understanding of what's coming up, what's required of you this semester, and start reaching out if you have questions about different things that are due. If there's anything else that you have questions about, feel free to reach out to either of us. Is there anything else you'd like to add for what you would recommend anyone in the class do between now and when we see them on Friday the 2nd?
Just read the syllabus very carefully, and do not hesitate after you've read the syllabus and after you've tried to familiarize yourself with the course. Then reach out to us and let us know, if you have any other questions that maybe haven't been answered or aren't clear, because that's why we're here. But otherwise, I'm excited about this course, Dr. Champion. I think it's going to be great.
Yeah,
I'm
I think
looking
it's going to
forward
be
to
a really
meeting you
good
all.
group. I'm looking forward to it as well. Thank you all. Cannot wait to meet you all in person on Zoom, live on the internet in just a few short days. Hope you're doing well, and we will see you all on Friday the 2nd at 6 p.m. Same channel, same place. We'll see you all soon. Thanks,
Thank
everybody.
you all.